Hello, everyone. Welcome. I see the number is increasing.
Hi, Laura.
So we'll start in a minute.
Hello.
So to those who are joining now, mention in the chat, where are you from? I think we have representation from all over. It's exciting to see that we have many members joining. So hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining today's webinar, which is organized by the FISU Student Committee in celebration of the International Day of University Sports, which happened to take place on the 20th of September. So this is a belated celebration, but it's always important to celebrate sport every day of the year, I think. And my name is Lara Shayib. I'm a FISU Student Committee member, and I had the honor and privilege of organizing this event alongside my colleagues, which are here with us today, Adebayo, Sveya, Lari, and Mika. So today's session is not only a series of talks and discussions, it's a space where students' voices will take the lead, where experiences from across regions meet, and where together we imagine the future of university sport. I'd also like to introduce our chair, student committee chair, which is Dr. Agnes, who had the opportunity and who helped us make this project a reality. So Dr. Agnes, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lara. I would like to welcome everyone in this webinar organized by the FISU Student Committee. I am Agnes Ancsics-Valkai, FISU Executive Committee member and chair of the Student Committee and former Olympian water polo player. I highlight this because as a former elite athlete, I know the importance of competing in a high level, participating in very important international competitions and having the opportunity to get to know a lot of people all around the world. This is something that gave me a great additional value to my life, my professional career. FISU is not only giving athletes the possibility to compete, but giving much more than this, educational programs and many more events to enter in the world of university sports. If I just mention that the FISU Student Ambassador Program, today we have a lot of former and new ambassadors with us. I want to highlight what opportunity this program is giving. Entering this program for the whole year, you will have the possibility to go on a journey where you can build relationships, gain experience, and work in a team. I would like to call on the new ambassadors to be the link between FISU and FISU Student Committee and university sports in their own nation so that we can cultivate active working relationships and closely cooperate with as many countries as possible. And at the same time, hoping that today we have many representatives of the national university sports federations, please remember that you have your ambassadors, that they will happy to take part of your programs and ready to help in many kind of your activities. In today's program, we will meet speakers with extensive experience who will talk about international and national situation and practices in the field of sports, governance affecting students. We will also hear from students who are actively involved in university sports in their home countries, and all of these guests will be asked by my excellent colleagues from the FISU Student Committee. I am very happy that today we will also talk about parasports, included for the first time in the program of the 2025 Rhine-Ruhr FISU World University Games summer, because I feel that this is very important that in university sports, we also take for granted what surrounds us. Not everyone starts life with equal chances, but everyone deserves to be given equal opportunities. Abled or disabled athletes all have a place at the largest international sports events. This event is taking place to celebrate the International Day of University Sports. So let's celebrate university sports and have a great meeting all together with you. Thank you for being with us today and enjoy your event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agnes, for the warm welcome. So as Agnes said, we'll be having many amazing speakers today. with us. So from a keynote speaker, one keynote speaker we will have, as well as two roundtables. So we're excited for you all to hear what everyone has to say. Let's get started with the energy and openness that define the student sport movement. To kick things off, I'm delighted to introduce our keynote speaker, Lena Landgraf from Germany. She is a sports manager for 3x3 basketball and 3x3 wheelchair basketball, talking about the power of 3x3 basketball and strength in every disability. So, Lena, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen. So now you are able to see it, right? Okay, so then let's get it started. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Lena Landgraf. I'm the 3x3 basketball and 3x3 wheelchair basketball manager, sports manager for the World University Game, which happened this year, in the Rhine-Ruhr region. And yes, besides this, I'm doing many more projects with 3x3 basketball, if it's on a professional level, on a high competition level, and also in the social context. So 3x3 basketball is my passion, and I'm really happy that I can talk about it today. Thank you for the invitation. I will tell you something about the experience with the World University Games this year, probably even my biggest tournament, and the inclusive 3x3 tournament we did there, and also about the potential and the chances the sport has to offer. So first of all, here you can see some impressions about everything. What 3x3 basketball is, starting with the very classic definition. 3x3 basketball is the #1 urban team sport. It's an exciting, really fast and energetic variation of traditional 5 versus 5 basketball. We only play on one court, and it's played with obviously 3 against 3 players. It was added to the Olympic program in Tokyo in 2017, and starting with Tokyo in 2020. And since Paris 2024, it is pretty common in Germany. As you can see on the left-hand side, our German national team won the gold medal, which was really exciting and a bit surprising as well. And you see really the great location of the Paris Olympics on the Place de la Concorde. It was really amazing, a great atmosphere. But next to all those high-level competitions and talking about Olympics and professional competitions and 3x3 tournaments, the sport is, to be honest, so much more. It's not only high level, it's really everything that goes around the sport. So 3x3, as you can see on the left side and also on the right, 3x3 has been played on the street since as long as basketball existed. So it has its roots in the traditional street basketball. And in the end, the sport is really every court, every kid who's playing there. You just need a court or a location, a basket and a ball, and somebody who wants to play with you. And that's it. So everybody around this court, right next in your neighborhood, in your location, in your city, that is 3x3 basketball, and it's really a community thing. So you can just be part of it. You can join, even if you're not playing. 3x3 basketball is also the atmosphere around the court. So it's about music, it's about having food at the court, maybe about dancing on the court. It's just everything that the people want, the identification the people have in the court of their neighborhood. So that is 3x3 basketball as well, and everybody's just united through the sport. So it has a great social impact for the neighborhood, where it starts in the end. So the slogan from the International Federation is from the streets to the Olympics. So it starts in the street, and you can go up all way. And it has a great impact for the environment and also for each player individually. And yes, I will tell you something about the rules, that you get just a idea about the game itself. It's simple, fast, and really entertaining. So you have a 10-minute game time. It's a 12-second shot clock which means that there are only 12 seconds to play an offensive play and to shoot the ball. There are no breaks after scoring, so if a team scores, the defensive team just takes the ball out. There is no inbound or anything else. We just continue. So no halftime, no quarters. And yeah, the main idea about the rules is to make it simple and accessible as possible so that it can be understood and played everywhere. And this is yeah, actually the key word here. It's accessibility. So on the one hand, it's for the players accessible. So for talking about 3x3 basketball and 3x3 wheelchair basketball, we just take the same rules, so it's exactly the same game. Also in 3x3 wheelchair basketball, it's just a 12-second shot clock. It's just a 10-minute game. The referees are the same. The foul calls are the same. Everything is the same. So same rules, same equipment, very accessible. On the other hand, we have the spectators, and that's pretty important as well because the game is accessible for spectators and even for those that are not pretty common with sport or those that are not really sport fans. So 3x3 basketball is really another experience than the traditional 5-on-5 basketball. I always give the example that when you watch a 5-on-5 basketball game, a traditional one, you need to know the schedule, you need to know the team, you need to know the gym, you go there, then you watch a game for at least 2 hours and then you leave it. But 3x3 basketball is like the other way around. Maybe you're doing a shopping trip on the weekend and then you cross the city and then you hear music somewhere and then you're attracted by the music. You go to the location and right in the city center, there's a court, a 3x3 basketball court set up, and there's a 3x3 basketball tournament happening. And then you stay there and you didn't have the idea to watch basketball, but it's just there and it's an event. So you stay and you can watch, like in 2 hours, you can watch 4 games full of energy and full of excitement. So I always say that it's a sport who comes to the spectator, not the other way around. And that's the idea, to create the fastest team sport, to catch the attention and to make it snackable as possible and really easy to consume. And that's a main point, because this kind of visibility and accessibility is really a great potential of this sport. So most important from my point of view is that you reach more people and you interact with so many more people than you do in other traditional sports that are played in the gym. So it's really about the visibility, universality. So everybody can join somehow. Visibility is also not only the event itself, but you see a lot of social media highlights. It's played on public spaces, and you can also really good involve it into other events. So it's not about sport, it's about event and catching as many people as possible. So the rules the rules are great to maximize the drama and really to break the barrier between entertainment and sport. And in the end, like you see in the white circle, the player is really in the focus of this game. It's all about the player. It's, for example, sports-wise, there is no coaching allowed. So there are no coaches at the sideline yelling at the players. It's everything about the player. The player takes responsibility. For sure, there are just 3 people on the court, so nobody can hide. You need to take ownership and responsibility, and you have also more visibility, and you can use this platform to tell your story, which is really important in wheelchair basketball as well. So it's really a chance to show the sport and to get people in touch with the sport. And yeah, talking about the characteristic of this sport, I will give you the example about the event what we did this year, the World University Games in Bochum in the Rhine-Ruhr region. So here you can see some impressions, and you see it's not only about the sport. It's not only about 3x3 basketball. It was way more. So we played in Bochum in the Jahrhunderthalle, which is it's a great industrial building, a huge building. And we played inside the 3x3 FISU World University Games competition. There was a great atmosphere. There were so many spectators, but also we played there were many side activations. So the whole area around the Jahrhunderthalle was covered with courts as well and with other urban sports. So there were calisthenics, there were youth tournaments. We had like concerts on 2 days. There were art attractions. There were cultural activation. So it was really like a 4-day festival, which was great for the sport, and the sport was clearly in the focus. But there was everybody was amazed about I call it the big picture, everything around as well. And the approach we had with the 3x3 tournament, first of all, we were very proud to host the first parasport and FISU games. This was really special. Like I already told you, we had a full inclusive 3x3 event. I gave you an idea about the rules and everything. So sports-wise, it was pretty easy. We had an integrated schedule. So we did it like, I think we had like 2 or 3 wheelchair games. And then right after that, we had the 3x3 games. And on the last day, the finals were right after each other. So it was fully integrated. We did not separate any games. And for sure, we had the same venue. We had just like one competition court, a warm-up court, and a practice court. And everything went out very, very well. And for sure, all the services all around, they were accessible, and all the delegations were really happy because they really felt that it was one event, that there was no separation at all. And yeah, that was a great success in our eyes. And just one interesting detail about the participation number. So you can see we had 7 men's and 4 women's team in the wheelchair competition. The idea or the goal before was, or we had the capacity to host 8 teams in each category. So we did not make 8 teams, but because it's still a process. So there's still not so many players, even in 3x3 basketball and 3x3 wheelchair basketball, that are so common with the sport, because it's still a very young discipline and they need to get used to it to play 3x3 basketball, because all this high energy level and the pace of the game is really special, and you need to, like I already said, you need to take ownership and you need to develop your skills and you need to learn it. But every one of the players were so excited about it. So yeah, in the end, it's still a process, but we had 4 days full of competition. The venue was sold out. And even I think on the first day of competition, I was a bit skeptical before, because we started the days with group games, so no KO phase, but group games, and we started with the wheelchair games. And we started pretty early in the morning. I think it was 10 o'clock. And I was afraid that there's nobody coming to watch it, but in the end, the stances were full. So there were so many people shouting and screaming, and the crowd were crazy, even in the beginning, and not even at the weekend. So that was pretty cool. And in the end, the highlight was that our 2 women's team from the German side, they won the gold medal. That was amazing, or that was really special. And yeah, the side program and the local activation was just to complete the big picture. So we had a great event, and everything was so equal and so inclusive. And maybe my biggest learning I want to share with you, or a little story I want to share with you. In the Jahrhunderthalle, we needed to set up the locker rooms and the wheelchair storages and all the infrastructure temporarily. So there was nothing in the hall, so we need to build everything up temporarily. And the day before the delegations arrived, we did a venue tour with the technical delegate. And then we discovered that the doors are too small, that the teams cannot fit in with their sport wheelchairs, because the angle of the wheels are like this, and for the day wheelchairs, they are like this. So the doors were just too small that they can fit in with their sport wheelchairs. And I was so shocked, and I was like, we planned it for so long, but there has been somehow a mistake. So I was really shocked, but the technical delegate from the International Wheelchair Federation was really relaxed, and he told me, like, that's okay, just go on, they will play anyway, so let's just do it. And in the end, it was they could just put off one of their wheels, they cross the door, and then they put it back on, and there was not one single negative feedback about it. They were just so happy to get the platform, to enjoy this atmosphere, to just to be there. So I was so happy that there was just this amazing feedback in the end. And my biggest learning is don't overthink, just do it. And it was my first wheelchair tournament as well, my first inclusive wheelchair tournament. And I'm just like, why didn't we do it before? Because in the end, it's really the same, and everybody's just so happy, and the feeling is great. So this was my biggest learning, and we had an amazing event, and it was just very, very cool, and all delegations just gave so much positive feedback, and that was really cool. So I'm proud that we made it this way, and hopefully we will have more 3x3 inclusive events in the future. And that's my experience. If you have any questions, I don't know if we can, for sure we can do it now, or I will be reachable later, but that's it from my side.
Thank you, Lena, for your insightful presentation and setting the stage for today's discussion. I believe those who have questions, if you can save them to the end for the questions with everyone else's questions. But I'd like to introduce that President Leon is here with us today, and we would really love to hear from you, Mr. President, if you can unmute and say a few words.
Hello, Lara, dear ambassadors, dear FISU staff, can you hear me well? Okay. First of all, I would thank all of you, Agnes, the team from FISU, the ambassadors, everybody who is involved in this webinar. Secondly, my big thanks goes to all of you, dear student ambassadors. Why? We have one hand, I have one hand, maybe two, but you are our long arm. You have to multiply our actions, our ideas, and you even bring much more, your own ideas in this program. We depend on you, and we are very proud of you. Sorry that I am a bit noisy here, you see around me. I just returned from Dalian University World Cup football before the IDUS, and during IDUS and after IDUS. Then I went to Taipei to a conference where we all spoke about university sports. Also students were there. And now I just returned via Dubai at Zurich Airport, waited for my luggage. So just on time. I'm really glad and happy to join you for a few moments, and would like to thank also Lena, because when I saw this tournament in Germany, it was really amazing. Most of us, we have seen 3x3 basketball already, but para-basketball, most of us have never seen. And this dynamic and this inclusion was really great. Just to let you know, all we had already in winter sports, in Torino, some para sports, but alpine skiing and cross-country skiing, but this was the first team sport in Rhine-Ruhr. So thank you very much, and also for your insights. Dear student ambassadors from all over the world, you are the future leaders. You are the one, maybe you replace me one day. I will be happy to see one of you, not tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow, but I will be happy to see some of you in the leading positions. You see, like Agnes, she was a perfect and excellent player in sports. Now she has a leading role in the FISU Executive Committee. All of you, whether it's in IDUS, whether it's in other programs, whether it's the National University Sports Federation or in the continental federations, please continue to do your job. You will learn a lot, you will make new friends, and you can contribute to the huge development of our movement all over the world. And this is all what we count about, and we count on you. And again, I'm very proud of all of you, and thank you for your involvement and engagement. We all from FISU, Agnes, Lilia, all our colleagues and friends, whether staff or volunteers, we are ready to help you. If you have any questions, feel free to address them to us, and we try to solve them for all of you. I see also some representative of the continental federations. This is great. We are one big family, and family means to help each other. Okay, having said this, I would not like to be longer. I join you, but I will sit in the train very soon, try to get all my luggage in, and then I continue to listen your discussions because the topics on your agenda are really interesting, are great. And again, I thank all of you who are involved. Big applause to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your kind words. And I think we should all take you as a role model, someone who is involved in sports, both on the administrative level and the actual sportive level. So thank you. So with that, we will now move on to our first roundtable, which focuses on student engagement in the future of university sports. This roundtable will explore how students can play a stronger role in shaping the future of university sports. We will touch on inter-NUSF collaboration and the role students can play in connecting across borders, students' involvement in regional projects, the contribution of student ambassadors to NUSF, and the importance of student committees in advancing the Healthy Campus project. I'm delighted to welcome our panelists who represent diverse regions of the world and bring a wide range of experience to this conversation. From the Middle East, Africa, Oceania, South America, and Europe, they have voices that truly reflect the global community of university sports. We have our panelists who are with us here today, and our moderator will be Larry, who is my colleague in the student committee. So the floor is yours, Larry.
Thank you very much, Laura. I'd like to welcome our panelists, Salma, Martin, and Chidi. And I have had the first question to Martin.
Yep, here, Larry, all good.
Yeah. Collaboration across borders has always been a strength of FISU and its student community. To start us off, how do you see students helping to strengthen inter-NUSF collaboration? And what examples or ideas come to mind?
Thanks. Great question. Good to start and good to see you all. Hopefully, if you can't see me, you can hear me. I have a good head for radio anyway, so it's always good to be able to talk. Look, I think, as Leon said, it's really important that students have a voice. So I'm going to think of, I thought of this since Laura asked me the question, but I think there's probably four things I can offer and add value to this conversation. One that's the national federation level, one that's a joint arrangement, well, two that are joint arrangements between both you as students and the federation, and then one as an individual. So the four things are, first of all, most national university sport federations have MOUs. In your organization, can you make in your federation, just ask if there is an MOU handy, if you have an MOU with another national federation, and if there is one, make sure that there is a student centric view as to how that MOU might work. So lots of times there are various collaborations, but try and make sure that there is an item on that MOU that enhances the opportunities for students to collaborate together. So that's an important, that sort of sets the framework for national federations to work closely across boundaries. And if it's enshrined in an MOU, then often that makes some value and some importance. And if we have a student voice in there, that's a really good thing. The second one is, which you're all doing now, but make sure that when there's a FISU event or an activity that comes up, make sure that you're part of that. That gives you a great understanding about the differences in cultures. And Larry, I think we've met in Germany, where there's lots of opportunities to discuss and talk with people, and that's the richness of the conversation is probably the ideal element. But make sure that you don't just keep that good information to yourself. Like Alex in Australia, she actually used to share the information with the board. Probably we needed to make more opportunities of that, but make sure you tell the story to others so that other students get the same and they're enthused. The third one is actually in your countries, you might have lots of international students. That's a great way to better understand the cultures. So rather than actually borders, let's have intercultural activities. because clearly that's an important thing. And one of the studies in Australia recently identified that international students present 51% of international students presented as being lonely. I can't imagine a worse thing to be than in another country and being lonely. So as an ambassador, is there something that you can do to incorporate and encourage international students in your country to be part of your university fabric or part of your national federation? So in Australia, we're running international student sport festivals where it's the opportunity for students from many different nationalities and countries to come together and participate through sport. If you could do that in your country, is that an opportunity to then link in with the students who live in the country to actually better understand how those students are, what their cultures are, how to break down those sort of sometimes assumptions that you have. And the last one is, as an individual, potentially make sure that you use the networks that are well available to you. So for instance, if you're on LinkedIn, make sure that you have many international friends. And a lot of the people I'm on LinkedIn with are not from necessarily the same country as me or the same background, because then you can start to see what they're doing and how that happens, and possibly have a mindset of not necessarily being an Australian or an English person or whatever, but actually have a view that you are a global citizen. And I think that's where FISU is that if we actually had more global citizens, we would be able to make a greater influence on the way in which the world is today. So hopefully those four things, thoughts, might stimulate thought-provoking conversations with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that beautiful answer. How about Chidi and Bill? Do you have anything to or say? Please, quick.
Yes, thank you so much for having me again this year. It's always a pleasure to see our students participate in conversations like this, as it basically helps us develop our national university sports further. To add to this, he's literally hit it all, precisely where you should understand it. Your basic involvement is essential. I know sometimes we have a need to hold back because you think the older people might not be ready for your answers, or you don't know how to articulate them comprehensively and deliver them. So I would say give yourself a couple of days, if possible, write it down, analyze the way you want to say it, and contribute to ideas. They're always very essential. For students leading, like for our students to organize and lead projects for our national university sports is very, very important. I believe our national university sports needs to look at the framework at which we accept students. We don't just have them because they are students, and that FISU requires young ambassadors, or every FISU games we have volunteer programs. No, I think our national university sports have to be intentional in the way they use the students. For instance, when you have 3-4 ambassadors, maybe in a 2-year gap, you have to give them actual roles, functions to carry on. So you just like Martin has just said, you have to have a function that you're performing that is precisely to you, even if you're attached to a team, like communication, like games time, coordination, even if it's administration. It doesn't just help the NUSF, it also helps you develop a particular skill that would help you if you intend to stay in the sports industry, or even any work of life at all. I also believe that our national university sports should be intentional with their internships, with their partnerships. What are you doing with the universities? How are you extending your leveraging on the fact that you have thousands and thousands of students, providing work experience for them. Because in Africa, there is a trend of, you graduate from school and then every job opportunity says you have to have 3 years experience or 2 years experience. And then students are like, how am I supposed to have 2 years of experience if I am just getting out of school? But the basic thing is, if you have volunteered in certain roles, it informs you on the kind of jobs you can apply for, where you can say, in volunteering in this role, I have been able to do this list of things, so that you do have experience. You just don't have a paid experience. So our national universities, sports federations needs to be intentional in creating internships and build a skill workshops for our students. In Nigeria, we have what we call the Nigerian Volunteers Network. What we try to do with this network is connect students to industries, like the sports industries, football clubs, see if we can find internships for them, hold workshops that teach specific skills. So even if it's 5 people you have in the room, you know that those 5 people are gaining relevant experience. So it is essential to be bold in your request and be intentional in your aptitude to the positions you've been given.
Thank you very much. How about Bill? Anything to add to this discussion topic?
Well, firstly, thanks, Laurie. And yeah, Chitty, in typical fashion, you've picked up something which I was hoping I'd come in to say, and everybody go, oh, wow, but you've already done it. You talked about skills, and yes, until you get that paper, once you've graduated, there is that point when you go through and you start applying for roles, and they all want to know, well, what's experience? What experience have you had? And this is the perfect time for you to go ahead and do that. By going ahead and getting involved within your NUSA, you can take that direct experience, paid or unpaid, it doesn't matter, that you were involved in, well, number one, a sector leading national, international, global, worldwide sports movement that is FISU. That's huge. As an ambassador for FISU, you're representing literally a Fortune 500 company. So there's so many opportunities that are inside that. And going back to what Marty said earlier, I mean, memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, are so important with every NUSA and what they do. And that's within the continentals and also where they go with others. That student voice, and we've said it before, we say it all the time, nothing about us without us. You have to have students included in the conversation completely. FISU does it. Your NUSA can do it. The thing is you've just got to decide, how loud do you want to shout?
Thank you very much. And actually, continuing with Bill, I have a question for you. The FISU Healthy Campus initiative is growing worldwide. What role can student committees play in making this project more visible and effective within their universities?
Wow, it's a great question. And whoever wrote it, thank you for giving me a really tough question to answer. I'm going to try to break it down and make it hopefully a little simple. Now, before we even start this, all of us have the chat function. What I want you to do is just put one word about yourself, just one word. All right. For me, I'd of course put down handsome. I don't know. You can put whatever you want. One word. I want you to do that now. And whilst you're doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit, and you don't have to worry about listening. You could just figure out how you're going to type. The Healthy Campus program is a worldwide, initiative. Started out very, very well in the fact that it was built around effectively around a group of experts. So you had FISU brought in all these experts from this idea of how do we make sport, and universities work well together for the well-being of our students. It's massive because of one thing. Every university cares about status. They do. I don't care who you are. We have the director of sport, an ex-director of sport from Monash, one of the biggest universities in Australia, and will be the first one to tell you that they're trying to figure out how to attract more students, better students. Marty's nodding his head. I can't see him because he hasn't got a camera on, but I can guarantee he is. Every university wants to differentiate itself from other universities. You know, we're number one in this ranking. We're number one in this one. But what really counts, and this is a secret, is what the university does for its students. It's not just about them getting that paper, the diploma. It's what they do for you to make you a better citizen, to make you better when you go out. So this is why we've used SDGs. They're involved in the Healthy Campus, so Sustainable Development Goals from UNESCO, sport, and the connection of sport and well-being, and how well-being actually makes you a much more resilient, stronger student. Okay, now I haven't looked at the chat. I'm not going to, because I can guarantee that the words that you use will be like passionate, smart, educated, resilient, powerful, leader. I hope I got at least one of them right. That's what all student ambassadors have. I have two. Okay, thanks, Jay. That was lucky. It's important that you remember that, because that's your party, that's your tribe, that's the person you're working with right now, as either an existing student ambassador, a future student ambassador, or a past student ambassador. And the best word in that whole thing, FISU, student ambassador. You're representing for FISU. It's like you're seriously there. I mean, hell, to be fair, Leon said it earlier. One day, you're going to be the next leader of FISU. Hopefully, that would be grand. So, all right, here we go. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about how we get involved, how you can get involved, and why student committees are so important. All right, here we go. We're going to start off with the first one. Who? I want you to think about who the who is. All right. Who do you need to speak to? If you want to go ahead and talk about FISU and Healthy Campus, because the Healthy Campus is sector leading, who in your institution do you need to talk to? Now, many of you are going to go, oh, well, Bill, that's easy. Rector, I'll go to the rector. Yes, because we all know rectors have all the time in the world. They're just waiting for somebody to come into their office. They aren't. They've got a whole business to run. So what you need to think of is, well, maybe student union or student guild, or maybe there's a dean of students. Anybody who has student in their title is probably the person you want to talk about. You want to go to them, all right? And what you want to do is you want to go there and you want to be prepared. And that's where the next part comes in, the what, all right? What would be required of your university through a committee? What would be required to go ahead and join the Healthy Campus program? What would they need? And their first thing they're going to ask is money. They got to spend money? No, not really. Will it make the university better? Yes, definitely. Will it attract more students? Oh, gosh, yeah. Will it improve our student retention numbers? Definitely. Why? Well, because you're joining a global network. I'm not going to ask the question because it changes daily, because there are more people coming into the Healthy Campus program than ever. Currently, over 196 universities. 196. I don't know about you, but that's a lot. I can tell you that is more than the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. It's bigger than the United Kingdom and all of our universities. That's a lot of universities. That's a lot of students. Think of it. You're joining that group. So it sells itself practically. But again, what will it take? What is the what? And the what for you will be the support from the students. So you got to mobilize. from the university in general, and most importantly, the university departments. Academically, it's important that they bring on. Okay, so we've done the who, we just did the what. Now here's the biggest question. Why? Why do I need to do this? Why does the university need to join the Healthy Campus program? Honestly, to make it a better university. Nobody, if you look at that list of 196, you see some amazing names. And even though this hurts, 196, our recent university that came in, Western Australia, #1 university for sustainability, my friends. That's huge company. So the why on this is definitely the university will improve. They'll have better exposure, happy students, and most importantly, you need to find out what's that one thing that really pushes your university's button. For mine, Exeter is world leading. We are a Russell Group institution and we are strong, but we need to be more international. By joining the Healthy Campus, you're in a party of 196. I know that I've got a time limit, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. Okay. Most people will think now, oh, I know what this is going to be. I've heard this. It's the who, what, how, when, why, all that. Nah, this is FISU. And this is where the most important element of these different levels that come in. You, and not just you. You are the biggest element in this entire pie. The students, you, because you're representing students here, have the power for a change for good. And I batter on about that all the time. Students have the ability to make change for good. They will try to better their institution whilst they're there. And by doing this, when you know you are now knowing the entire Healthy Campus program, and you need to know, you can't just go in there and say, we should join the Healthy Campus program, because the first thing they're going to ask you is, what is it? You need to know it better than Fernando Parente, my friends. You need to know it better than I do. You need to be able to know exactly why they should get in there. And now, the last one. So what have we done? Who, what, why, and you. And the last one is how. I've already mentioned it. 196 institutions have joined Healthy Campus. That's a lot of people. What you need to do is look at that list, and there is a list of them. You can go ahead and do that when you look at the FISU Healthy Campus website, and it will look, if you go through there and see all the institutions that have joined, identify a university within your own bubble, within your country, that you could contact. Maybe it's somebody who's already in your network. Maybe it's a student ambassador. That's the way you make change. You've already taken the first step because you're already here. You're joined as a student ambassador. Student ambassadors don't sit on the sidelines and watch. You're the quarterbacks. You're the strikers. You're the ones who actually do the work. You're the ones who want to get involved. This is the first step. And here we are. Laurie, is that okay? Is that time? Or have
That
I
is a
gone
beautiful
over?
answer.
Cheers.
And I have one last question, which is to all of you. As we've talked about what the National University Sports Federations can give to us students, the last question will be, in your experience, how can the ambassadors be more actively involved in supporting the National University Sports Federations?
If I may go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Yes, I'm trying to go first. Because I feel like we have like minds on this panel, and I would like to be the first one to say it. Okay. So for me, I feel like I said, you have to be intentional. He's on this chat. I'm hoping probably his network is not well connected, so he doesn't hear and get big-headed. But Adebayo can be a practical example of being intentional in what you need. He bugged me to an extent where I was like, okay, maybe let's actually hear what he has to say and see how he is intentional with what he wants to do. I know sometimes when you see these programs that are done on, the ambassadors program, the FISU programs, you see it excites you, and then after a couple of weeks or months, you kind of drop off. So you have to learn by yourself to be intentional with how you approach things. The things that work in Europe will not work in Oceania, it will not work in Africa. So you have to also be conscious of what works in your current environment, so that you can approach your leaders or your fellow students in such a way that it encourages you to continue your desire with what you want to do. So that's basically it. For you to contribute to your national federation, you have to know what they need. So if your national federation already has, an established media team and you want to learn, your approach should not be, oh, there's something better we could do. It has to be, how do I learn from what you're doing? If they're having administrative issues, like at the FISU games in Germany, we faced a situation where we had to engage some of the ambassadors to help their national federations do the online registration because it had a little bit of complication to it. You have to find out what they need and how best to help them. For me, I think that's very, very important. You get involved in that way, you gain experience, and then of course your time is not wasted as well. That's it for me. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much.
Bill, you go next.
I mean, there's not really much to say. The thing is, I honestly believe at times that Chitty and I share the same brain. We finish each other's sandwiches. I mean, that's how it is. No, I mean, you have a network here, and that's what you need to remember as a student ambassador. You use that network. You lean on each other. In this journey, you're going to end up making some of the best friends that you'll continue to have for life, but you need to lean on them. And also your alumni, those people who have been here before you, they're still around. They make it a point to go ahead and attend these kind of events. So use that. I would definitely suggest, when you're maybe at your lower ebb, is start chatting to your effectively your student ambassador officers. It's always a helpful way. And also, you'd be amazed at this, but certain programs do help. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention the Student Springboard program that FISU offers, which is a mentoring program. It is exclusive only to student ambassadors. And you will be working with names like, well, strangely enough, Chitty's one of our mentors, along with Marty. And Agnes also. There are a lot of us. I did say this before, is that as a student ambassador, you're not, you don't sit there on the bench and watch the field. You are always working. You're always out there. Think of your mentor as a bit of a coach, somebody that can help guide you as you go along.
Yeah. Final word was actually just taking board whatever Chitty and Bill have just said, and I thoroughly and wholeheartedly agree that getting a mentorship will actually help enormously. I think having a mentor, having somebody to be able to share stuff with that's not necessarily in your normal work group or friendship group is actually a really good way of being able to progress and evolve and develop. And there's a great opportunity with the FISU Springboard program, but even potentially in your own country, that's also a great thing to have. So can't have enough friends in high places. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the panelists. We'll be having a Q&A at the end of the event. And now I'm giving stage back to Lara.
Thank you, dear Larry, and dear panelists, for enlightening us with your experience and vision for the future of university sports and student engagement, more importantly, in university sports. Since today, we are belatedly celebrating the International Day of University Sports, which took place on 20th September, as I mentioned earlier. it's not only about engaging our minds through lovely discussions, which we have started to have, but it is also about engaging our bodies and remembering the importance of keeping our bodies active. So to bring a little bit of movement and energy into our program today, we'll now take a short break with Bea, who is also my colleague and a member of the student committee, for a fun activity called Mind the Gap. So please join in, get up if you can, and let's get moving together before we head into our next roundtable, which is led by students. So Svea, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Lara, and welcome also from my side. You're probably wondering why we call this Mind the Gap, because maybe everyone knows the term, please mind the gap between the train and the platform. And we want to use this term, the gap. So we need sometimes gaps between our first work session and our second one, or between our learning sessions. And it means to take a short break. So stand up, and I kindly ask everyone who's able to stand up here at the moment.
Svea, I'm not sure if everyone else has this problem, but I can't hear you anymore. No, it was working.
Oh no.
Oh, now it's better. Okay.
Okay, maybe it's the connection. Turn on the lights. So now it's better? Okay, great. Basically, you do all the things I do, so you need to look at me and do the same. So we start with some circles on your shoulders. So put your hands on your shoulders and do some circles from the back to the front. Very good. And change the direction. And if it's too easy, you can try to circle one to the back and one to the front. It's a little bit challenging for your coordination. And also change here the direction. Well done. Next, we want to
Svea, your voice disconnected again, but we can all see you. Still can't hear you, but we can see you.
So now turn, make
right.
sideways with your hips. Next, put your arms over your back and take a deep breath. And let it go. Then sorry.
No, we can hear you. It's all good.
Okay. Thank you very much. And next time it will be better with my voice. So I'm handing back to you. Thank you for participating.
Thank you, Svea. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this activity. I'm sure you know Simon says, but here in FISU we play Svea says. So it was lovely to get moving and have a little bit of energy back into our bodies before we move on to our next round table. So this conversation will delve into the role of students in governance, moderated by Dear Adebayo, who is also a member of the student committee. Joining him are our panelists, Opal from Uganda, Alex from Australia, Samin from Iran, and At from Finland. So this panel brings together various perspectives and from different regions of the world and different governance structures, which allows us to better understand the variety of student experiences across the FISU community. So I would like to welcome Adebayo as the moderator for this session, along with his panelists. Adebayo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lara. I hope everyone can hear me. And also thank you, Sevilla. I needed that stretch because I had a long day. So let's get to it. I believe it's going to be a very interesting conversation. I want to thank my panelists, and I hope you guys are ready to answer my questions. There are very important people here, and I'm sure they all want to hear what your answers are. So without further much ado, the first question I have, and it's to all of the student panelists. I will get the first answer from Opal, and then go to Alex, and then Samin, and then Art, all right? So, but I will call you before you speak so that there is a clear movement from speaker to speaker. So the first question I have is this. Now, across the world, we have different models of student governance, different continents, different styles and models. Now, some students, they sit on committees, some lead independent council, and others are part of a mixed decision-making bodies. So the first person, Opal, so from your perspective, what formats of student governance have you seen work effectively and why? Opal, over to you.
Hi, Adbayo. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from Kampala, Uganda. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you to all the organizers of this amazing conference and roundtable. And thank you so much, Adbayo, for your question. I think in regards to the models of student governance, like around the world, the different formats, I tend to agree that both formats do work, and it's just a matter of combining both formats, both models of student governance. Because you can see that usually students are represented on decision-making committees, which is one of the formats of of student governance. But also there are different independent student councils on which students sit. So these are two different formats of student governance. So I think it's just a matter of getting to see which works best, but also combining both. Because when students sit on independent councils, it gives them ownership, but also freedom for themselves to innovate and contribute when they're independent, when they have the autonomy to contribute. But also when students are represented on the decision-making committees, it ensures that their voices directly influence policies directly. So I think both formats do work, and maybe just to finish it off with just a practical example in FISU, of which you also have the privilege to sit on the student committee. You've been observing that we do operate with autonomy, so we feed directly into the executive committee. the views that we get from the student committee, the contributions, we feed them directly into the executive committee, ensuring that the student's voice is not really left out. So we ensure that it's not sidelined in this case. So I think both models do work. We just need to see which one fits right, but maybe combining both. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alex, what do you think? Do you think we should combine both models? Do you think a model works better? What are your experience like?
So basically from my experience, I found that the most effective models are a mix of student-led councils and having like a formal representation on a decision-making committee. So what we have mainly in Oceania, but mainly from my experiences working with my NUSF in Australia, is that we do have so our student advisory committee with our NUSF does have decision-making power. However, it is dependent on how the NUSF would see the students as a stakeholder within that. So it really depends on the priority that they're given, but also, the kind of what would be within a student's scope and responsibilities is something that they definitely need to consider, where giving too much power would be, why would they, you might as well give a student a kind of job or like give them some kind of internship rather than giving them just a position on a council. So that's where it kind of, there needs to be a balance of students being able to work independently, but also taking note of what influence students are able to have within the decisions that like within a governance. So I definitely would recommend more of a mix of them. Mainly because then that makes sure that students' voices are heard within a more reasonable scope of not giving them the full power to, so that it's not really there on them if anything goes wrong, if that makes sense. So you do still want to, you wouldn't want to see the students as like a liability, but you also need to make sure that there's a balance between what organization is responsible for versus what a student would be responsible for. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. I'm not sure if Samin is on the call because I can see her on the screen or him on the screen. So I will give the floor to Ed to give his response.
Good morning. I've been lucky enough to actually be in a student commission, in a student council, and in a board as well. So I've had the chance to kind of work in a rather large field of different student positions. And honestly, it really depends on what you want to achieve. If you have a lot to do, then possibly a board can be the best case for that. But then if it's more like the students have to be visible and don't really have a big responsibility outside of that, then a committee or council could work just as well. So it really depends on what you want from the students.
All right, thank you very much. My second question now, it's about the sort of challenges that students face in taking on leadership or governance role, whether it is cultural, structural, or institutional. So what do you think the biggest challenges are, and how can we as a global community help overcome these challenges? So I'll repeat myself in case I wasn't clear. Because you all have experienced some level of leadership or governance on the student level in university sport. So what would you consider the biggest challenges? Are they cultural, are they structural, or is it institutional? And if it's any of them, how can we overcome these challenges? So Opal, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Adbayo. What I think is that the challenges cut across all those dimensions, whether culture, whether institutionally, or whether socially. I think the challenges cut across, and these are quite different from continent to continent. And I think usually the biggest challenge is that the voices of the students, from my opinion, are usually undervalued because most times students are always expected to listen rather than to lead. So usually they get to hear what they say, but then they do not really get to implement what these students say. So I think their voices, or our voices, I should say, your voices, our voices are usually undervalued. And I think the second point is that the second challenge is maybe limited representation across the different boards, like Ate said. So I think it depends on what you want to achieve. I would agree with Alex and all the speakers. It all depends on what you want to achieve as a federation or as a board. So I think representation is one of the biggest challenges. And lastly, from my my perspective is that there is limited support in terms of maybe capacity building, training, and resources, both financial and human resources. That I think that that's one of the biggest challenges. The third point that I just said, but all the three I've mentioned are the biggest challenges. And how to overcome this, just briefly, is that more capacity building, more capacity building programs for the leaders. All of you here on this call, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for exposure through the different programs of FISU, or maybe your Continental or National University Sports Federation, or maybe whatever mode of exposure you got. So it's through more capacity building that we get to train more leaders to overcome these challenges that the students face, but also ensuring that there is clear mandate of what the student leaders need to do. Giving them the position is okay, but you need to clearly define for them what exactly their role should be, because most of them just, let's say, nominate them for these positions, but they do not really define what exactly needs to be done. And lastly, I think creating mentorship structures where administrators do support them, not necessarily supervise, but mentoring them, because this will help in ensuring that student input is respected and I should say not ceremonial. I beg to submit.
All right, thank you very much. Alex, what do you have to say?
I agree with what Opal said, that it is different by each area and which continent you're in. Because, so I believe the biggest challenge that we do have would be the time pressure because keeping in mind that the main people and literally everyone here would be a university student. And in addition to that, a lot of them would either be participating in a sport in some way, somehow, which is taking up more time. And then on top of that, being a student leader, being in a position of, in a position where you do have to take time out of your day or take time out of your week to be able to commit to enacting change and making sure that you are contributing what you need to within that group. So time is definitely a big pressure that a lot of students and university students face when going to participate in these kind of groups and organizations. And then on top of that, we also have a very big campaign of assisting those who have a dual career, which are already competitive level athletes and being university students. So I think that is a big challenge that we have. And on top of that, some regions, like the cultural barriers make it quite hard for students to be able to challenge authority or be taken seriously. And especially when it's your first time working with an organization, it can be quite daunting for a lot of students to reach out to their NUSF, ask for support to do their action plans, everything like that, or like even reaching out to be like, hey, what are you doing for EDUS? Or is this something you even celebrate? So it can be quite intimidating for a lot of students. And I think a way that we could overcome this would be providing stronger mentorship. So like the panel before mentioned, the Springboard program is a really good way to be able to, have that mentorship and have, someone to back you up and be in your corner and support you throughout, what you might want to do, give you tips and advice on who to contact, how to contact these kind of organizations, as well as like encouraging students to participate in leadership training that won't really come at a cost to them other than giving them, giving their time, which again circles back to my first point where there's so many things that we're able to do, but it's, kind of looking at whether or not from an outside perspective or even from a consumer's perspective, if that is something that they would be like, oh yeah, that's worth my time. That is something that I can invest my time in and it will pay off long term. So for us to be able to overcome a lot of the challenges that we have, it's being able to prove that whatever we offer will be worth what they're looking into. Or like maybe just like making sure that it's worth their trouble. And so these kind of structures give students a really genuine, like almost like an opportunity for them to make their own decision and be like, okay, this is definitely something that I want to pursue. Because then we do get that longevity of students in our roles where we've been able to kind of influence a lot of what we do in our own regions, respectively.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. Ed, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I think the biggest challenge I've seen as a student in these roles is also kind of an advantage, is in that people know that you're a student, so they kind of give you a little bit of leeway on the situation. They don't expect too much from you, but they still respect what you have to say. Not always, of course. There are people who don't really care about what students have to say, but most of the time when they're asking from a student in a big role, they understand that they're still a student. They're still learning about the issues, but they know more than the person asking them. That's why they're asking you. But of course, people are different. Some people don't care about what a student has to say, and then some people don't understand that we are still students. We're still learning about the issues we work with. But honestly, the issue is rather easy to fix if we really want to. All we have to do is just get more exposure. Let the world see that we know what we're doing, and there's a reason we are in these roles. We're doing this because we love it. We know about these things. We want to learn more. It gives the students the chance to actually do what they're good at, learn more, bring their knowledge to the rest of the world.
All right, thank you very much. We have just one final question because we're running out of time. But this question is much more of a sort of futuristic question. It's a question of the imagination, and I want the panelists to really imagine it, all right? So, and this is the question. If you could design the ideal student governance structure for university sport, what would it look like? Or like, what would ensure that students have a real voice and impact? Now, there's a lot of important people on this call, and they're interested in this vision. So I need you to imagine very well. Think of something really big. I don't care if it's too idealistic, but please, I want to hear your ideas. All right. And you're taking notes, trust me. So I'll start from Alex, all right, because ladies first, and then I'll go to Art, and then finally Opal. So Alex, let's hear you.
This is going to be funny because Martin is in this call, so he'll just take this up. But basically, it would be really ideal to have a layered structure. So say for Oceania, we have so many member universities. And if we are able to establish a local student council or like a local form of like student governance, then we can have that feed into a more national student committee. So I'm sure for a lot of our Oceania country members, that would be quite difficult because of the lack of resources and typically how small we tend to have them. But like, so for Australia, for example, if we have, at my university, we have a student sport advisory council, and that gives us an opportunity to join the Uni Sport Student Advisory Committee. And then that advisory committee feeds straight into FISU. So we do have a layered structure in Australia, which is really, really good for us, but we also have the numbers and the resources to be able to continuously sustain that. However, we are struggling in terms of being able to incentivize this. So that's just something that we would need to look into as to what can we offer to make sure that the students are like wanting to do this, making sure it's worth their trouble, worth their time. And then, so having this layered structure will feed directly into basically making a bridge with student representation that connects directly with the federations, whether it be Unisport Australia, which we technically already have, and then having a more formalized and more of a stronger bridge between the National University Federation and the Continental University Federation. So ideally, you would want students not just to have a seat on the table, but also have a lot more like decision-making power, having almost like voting rights when there's big changes coming along that will directly impact students. It would be really good to have transparency that doesn't just trickle down through the organizations, but to actually be delivered to students themselves. And having also like opportunities to co-lead initiatives, that would be really, really good in terms of being able to deliver impact, influence, and like having a student voice. Because at the moment there is, there would be there's a bit of miscommunication in terms of whether we do have the capacity to be able to establish a layer like a layered structure like this. But I think with the way that we have it in our area, in our continent, and in my country at the moment, it's like halfway there. But so it's a start. But then ideally you would have a full layered structure that would feed into each one, because then that you would have mentoring opportunities, you'd have a lot more transparency, you'd have a lot more support from the students as well. So there's a lot of benefits to be able to have something like that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that response. I love the imagination. I love the idea. So Ed, I'd like to hear from you as well.
Okay. Well, there's no such thing as perfection. Like nothing is ever perfect. We can always do a little better than yesterday. But I kind of like the way it's done here in Finland, with the highest decision-making power for the Finnish Students Federation is in the hands of students. So the members of the federation meet every year for an annual federation meeting where they decide the big things, what the Finnish Students Federation is allowed to do, and then the chairman or the president of the Finnish Student Sports Federation is also a student, and the vice presidents are also students. So the highest decision making is in the hands of students. And then there's of course professional people working in there, making sure that the students have the chance to learn, and if they're about to make something very stupid happen, there's someone who knows that we've tried this before. I would not recommend doing this. And then of course we can always learn from other countries. For example, in Latvia, Lithuania, the local student bodies in university sports are very respected. Like it's the whole country respects the people who work there. So if we could get that to all around the world, like having this kind of very high respect for the positions, respect for the people, the students there, that would be amazing. We have a little bit of that in Finland, but I don't think it's anywhere close enough to what I'd really love to see there. And of course, collaboration. You don't have to do everything on your own. Work with the other federations. Go to different countries, learn from them, work with them. Like there's so much knowledge in other countries, and there's always someone who's tried what you're thinking about trying. There's people who know what you're doing and who can help with that. So learn from the others. Don't try to do everything on your own. That's a great way to burn yourself out. I've tried. I would not recommend that. But really, it's just respect and trust and collaboration. That's what we need for the ideal student bodies.
Thank you very much. That was really lovely to hear. And then finally, Opal, what is your ideal student governance? Like, what would it look like?
Thanks, Adibayo. I actually agree with what the two have said, Alex and Tay. Everything has been said. And just to add on briefly on what they have said is that what I think the ideal student governance should be is that there should be guaranteed representation. Like Alex said, at least not just a seat or two, but with voting rights, with power to contribute to policy making, decision making, for example. So maybe just to give an example, like the IOC Athletes Commission Chair, Emma Teho, sits on the IOC Executive Board, ensuring that there is full representations of athletes' views. So I think this is one of the things that federations, international federations, even FISU could borrow, where the chair does sit on the executive, ensuring that there is full representation of the views of, let's say, the athletes, for example. And I think one thing that we have not really mentioned is structured communication. Communication is really very important, ensuring that you do, federations do consult the student leaders and the students, ensuring that there is that back and forth communication between students, leaders, the boards. This helps to ensure that the views are actually pushed to the highest level. So communication is really very important, and definitely autonomous, independent student committees, student councils that propose, debate, discuss ideas are what I think really should entail an ideal student governance. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Those are really lovely answers. I think we're already building our ideal world, and I think with FISU, this world will be actualized. So I'm going to give the mic now to Lara. So I thank all my speakers and the panel. You guys have been wonderful. So Lara, over to you.
Thank you, dearest Adebayo. Thank you, speakers, for the lovely discussion. I hope everyone enjoyed the discussion as much as I did. I think I learned something new, and I hope everyone has something to take away with them, something after today. And I hope some of you have questions. Those who do have questions, please put them in the chat or raise your hand. I would also like to all remind you the purpose of this webinar, which is celebrating belatedly the International Day of University Sports, takes place every year on the 20th of September. Sports and mental well-being and physical well-being is super important, and this should be something that should be celebrated every day by students and by all members of the community. And we as students should be the ones to involve all the members of community in this special day and in this special movement. And I hope that you all have participated and continue to participate in this International Day of University Sports. On social media, always use the hashtag Let's IDIS. Mention FISU. We always love to see your stories and see what you've done to celebrate this day. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the FISU staff, to Albina, Virginie, Lilia, and of course our dear chair Agnes for helping make this webinar a reality. And always we are ready to hear from all the students. And I would like to thank my colleagues as well who helped me with this webinar, who will be ready to answer your questions. I can already see one hand raised by Ali. So if you have a question, please go ahead, ask. I think you should be able to unmute now. If there are no questions, or if you have questions later on, you can always reach out to the speakers on various social media platforms, to us, members of the student committee, or in the chat. I see one question in the chat. How can a FISU student ambassador join FISU medical committee, especially students pursuing health sciences? To join any FISU committee, you have to be nominated by your NUSF at each mandate, and then the committee is chosen by the executive committee, according to my knowledge. Agnes, correct me if I'm wrong. So I'd like to thank you all again for joining. And again, if you ever need anything or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of the student committee members or any of the FISU staff. We're always ready to answer you. And I would like to wish you all a good day, happy Idis, and keep celebrating. Thank you.